good morning, everyone. I'm Tanya from the product marketing team here at WebEngage, and today we're going to be talking about push notifications. But before I start, here's a reminder for you to put in all your questions and queries that you might have throughout the course of this webinar into your comments section, and I'll be addressing those as soon as we finish with the presentation. Now let's get started. So today we're talking about push notifications, but we're not only covering the what, why, and how of push notifications in your WebEngage dashboard. We'll also be covering the best practices that you need to keep in mind when you're setting up or when you're implementing these push notifications. Now, why these best practices come into picture is because with the growing use of mobile devices and the number of apps we have in these mobile devices and the number of time that we have started spending on these mobile devices, it's very important to understand where you want to grab your users' attention and how to attract your users and not interrupt the users. So let's get started. Now, think of your mobile devices as your new age journals. Why journals? Because journals are something which is very private or personal to you, and so are the mobile devices in these times. And each app, or even for that matter, your app on the mobile devices, seem to sort of give your users a personal experience. So before you start sending out push notifications or get started with your entire strategy for push notifications, I want you to think of these five questions with your app in mind. The first question is, why is it relevant, or why are push notifications relevant? The second is, what impact does it create? The third is, how do you define your message and audience strategy? Fourth is, what action do you want the user to take on your platform? And fifth is, how do you measure success? Through the course of this webinar, I'll be discussing and helping you understand or answer these five questions as we go along. Let's get started with the first question, which is, why is it relevant? Now, like I said, push notifications help you bridge that gap between your user browsing a mobile phone versus your user opening your app and interacting or engaging with your app in any form. Why is push notification such a popular channel? Is because according to stats, your users spend approximately 5 hours a day or more on their mobile devices. So it's a very convenient way to interact with users and get their instant attention. What you can also do with push notification is get them to take a specific action that you want, or an ROI that you drive, or an impact that you want them to have on your platform. For example, if the user has left something in their cart, it's great to send them a nudge and help them understand that the product is still in the cart and that they can continue with their purchase. So it's very, very easy to grab your users' attention and get them to nudge towards an action you want them to undertake, which is why push notification as a channel is so popular. Now, the anatomy of push notification would look something like this to your users who are at the receiving end of these. I'll also be explaining what happens in the backend and what you as a marketer would see when you're creating these push notifications. Very briefly covering the two important things that you need to know at this point. The campaign type that WebEngage allows you to select. Now, this could be either a one time, a recurring, a transactional, or a triggered campaign. The message layouts that you can select on your WebEngage dashboard, you can choose from a text, banner, carousel, or rating. Like I said, as we go through this webinar, I'll be explaining each of this in detail and also be showing a live demo on of what the dashboard will look like and how do you go about implementing these. Right. So I showed you what the user would see, but here is what you will see, or here is what your playground would look like when you're creating push notifications. To build push notifications, here are five easy steps that you need to follow on the WebEngage dashboard, which I'll also be covering shortly in the live demo, which we'll be switching over to in just 2 minutes. The first step to building your push notification is you need to define your audience. You need to select the target audience that this push notification is meant for. You need to select your campaign type from a selection of one time, recurring, triggered, or transactional. You need to select the time, and you need to then go ahead and create your message. Once done, you just simply set up conversion tracking and then take your campaign live. Now, allow me to switch to the live demo and cover some things that we just spoke about. So, when you go to the Web Engage dashboard, this is what you see at a glance. Under channels, you can come over to push here, and you can click on the plus icon here to get started or to start by building your push notification campaign. Now you can see a banner pops up which gives you an option to select campaign type. We discussed that you have one-time, triggered, recurring, and transactional types of campaigns. Now, one time is good when you want to send an update of sort which is specific to a day and time. Triggered is when when you want to send a push notification campaign on an occurrence of an event. Let's say that event could be product wishlisted or product added to cart and so on. Recurring is something that you want the campaign to be running at regular intervals. This could be something on the lines of let's say you want to send daily reminders or weekly or bi-weekly reminders, or show them the by for an edtech platform it could be showing bi-weekly performance of how many courses they were able to complete and what their and how their progress has been up until now. Transactional is messages that you would want to send through the transactional API to communicate information such as subscription purchased, product purchased, to give them confirmation that the product purchase was made, and so on. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm just gonna go ahead with a one-time campaign for now. You can go ahead and give your campaign a name, and you can go ahead and select a campaign tag. Now, I would highly recommend that you do select a campaign tag, and if not, you build your campaign tag, because later it helps you with analyzing your campaigns, and we'll also cover that part. We selected the campaign type as one time. You can choose your target devices if you want to show it to just Android users or just iOS or both Android and iOS. You can do some targeting further and go ahead and define if you want to send it to all apps or send it to specific apps. You can edit this here to be able to add or subtract the apps from the list, and similarly for iOS. Now, coming to selecting your audience, you have an option to send to all users in a single segment, or send to multiple users and not send to certain segments. So you can go ahead and click that and click your option from send to users in any or all of these segments, and then go ahead with selecting your criteria. For example, I would select cart abandonment as my list. I would also put exclude users from these segments, and if you want, you can add any criteria based on the live segment that you've created. So, this is a great way to drill down on the specific kind of audience you want, or the specific audience you want to reach out to. Just for now, I'm just going to go ahead with send to all users in single segment. Hmm, no issues. We'll just quickly go to right. Right. The second page is the when side of things. Now, what happens is that you can select the time when you want the users to receive your campaigns. You can select from either now or later. Later gives you the option to select the date when you want it, and also the delivery time. You can either choose to send intelligently or send at a specific time if that is what you have in mind. Another important part to keep in mind at this point is the frequency capping, DND, queuing, and throttling. Frequency capping will help you avoid over messaging your users and interrupting them. So it's a good way to have this measure of control. And for example, you've said that not more than three push notifications a day per user. So it helps you understand and control that. You can also set up DND wherein you would not want to reach a user, let's say after 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. in the day. You can also again set up your queuing and throttling. With throttling, you can set up how many messages per minute you want to be sent. Coming to the third part, which is the message. Now, here is where you design your message and you pick, the layout that you want. By default, the layout that we have here is text, but you have options from text, banner, carousel, and rating. Text is great for small updates like your order is on the way or something like that. But a banner layout is great when you want to communicate and also show some visual aid. For example, if you are running a cart abandonment campaign, you might want to show the product that was left in the cart for for the extra nudge that the users would need to go ahead and purchase. Third is carousel. When you, let's say, when you're running a big flash sale campaign and you want to show multiple products or multiple categories of products that will be available on sale, you can go ahead with carousel format. And rating is pretty self-explanatory. When you want to get feedback or get users to review or rate their purchase, it's a great layout for you to be going ahead with that. So I'll just select banner for now. Now, coming on to some changes that you might be seeing on the message layout right now, is that we've added background color. We've changed your text to be for you to be able to have more uh, customize your text better. I'll be going through of what you can do. This is a part of the new feature release for the platform, and I would request you to update your Android SDK for to be able to access this. Let's get started. What you can do is you can select a background color for your push notifications. Why would you want to choose a separate color for your push notifications? Simply because you would want your push notifications to stand out. So I will just go ahead and select a neutral tone of a color which works for me, and it could also, the background color could also follow your brand guidelines, so that you can help build the brand recall into the minds of your users. You can simply go ahead and upload an image, which is what I'm going to do now. Once you've uploaded the image, you can now get started with your message. So with message, you can see the text editor has changed a little bit, which is also a part of the new feature upgrade. So I'll just go ahead and quickly show you what all is possible here. Let's start with hi and use my event attribute first name. And let's go over to description and type something like join us for our upcoming webinar on, let's say I want to put 17th March, and I want to highlight this text. So you simply select the text and you click on bold. Now, what you can see is that this part will be in bold. Right. What you can also do at this point, which is not something I'm going to put in the message, but something just for you to see, is that I'm gonna put something like we're excited, and I'm gonna change the color of this text. Let's say I want it to be red. So you can see the text here has automatically become red. Or let's say, for example, if you're showing price of a certain item and you want to highlight that for a separate color, I would say something like this, wherein what I'll do is I'll slash the initial price. So that's also possible. And I'll highlight my current price with a new color, let's say green. So multiple things are available. You can put your message in bold, you can italicize it, you can underline it, you can strike, you can choose the option of strike through, and you can change the color of the text. So these are just some things that's possible on the dashboard. Now, you can always use this icon to personalize your messages further, which we would highly recommend that you do. You can here put in the on click action or the link that you would want the users to go to. And you have three more options here. I would like to go over the Android and the advanced iOS options. So, another new feature that we've added here is you can add message summary for Android. Now, where your message summary shows up is if I type message summary, you can see the text appearing here. So, this is where your message summary will show up. Another new feature is that you can choose to make this push a sticky push, which means that users will not be able to swipe and just close this notification. They will either have to click on the button or on the push notification. Now it's mandatory if you are making your push a sticky push, it's mandatory for you to add a button. For now, I'm just putting something on the lines of buy now and whatever link that I want to put here. Moving on to the advanced options for iOS. Similarly, you have a subtitle field for iOS, like we did message summary for Android. You have subtitle for iOS. I will just put a small text here to be able to show you how this would work, and I'll switch over to the iOS view. You can see the subtitle has appeared here, as well as the formatting that we did here. You can also add buttons and choose the type of buttons that you want to show in your iOS version. Once done, you can simply click save and continue, and this is how you can basically set up your campaign for for push notification. Just quickly going through what all is possible. You can change the background color, you can add rich media text such as images, videos, pdfs, and so on. You can add the image, or you can personalize the image. For example, if you're saying for you show the latest product that was added to cart, you want to go ahead, select custom events and select added to cart and product id for that. You can experiment with a bunch of text and how you want your text to appear. You can make it bold, you can italicize it, you can underline it, strike through, and you can also change the color of the text. With Android, you can make it a sticky push, which will require you to put in a button, and you can also add message summary. With Android, you can also add a subtitle which will appear here, and you can also add buttons. So these were the couple of changes that we quickly covered. You can go ahead and set up conversion tracking, and you can select any event that you would want to consider for your conversion tracking here. You can also assign the conversion deadline, and if you want, you can go ahead and select a control group. Once you do that, I highly recommend that you go over to the next step and you test your campaign before you take it live. Once you're done and you're happy with the campaign and you've tested it, you can go ahead and preview and launch your campaign. So this is just the basic of how you're building your push notifications on the WebEngage dashboard. Now I'll come back to the presentation and we'll discuss what we said before. We've covered the what, why, and the how. Now here is where it gets interesting, and here is where you will want to, focus attention is the best practices that you need to follow, because these best practices will help you get an edge over other brands, or will help you get users, more user engagement, and attract more users to the platform. Now, I've divided these best practices into three main sections. One has to deal everything with data and audience profiling. Second is with your message strategy and your message positioning, and all of that. The third is how you test and optimize your campaign for better performance. Let's get started. So, the first best practice is that you need to segment your audience. You need to identify what your correct audience is. It will not just help you align with your messaging strategy, it will also help you understand the different interests of a user and customize and personalize messages for those users, therefore driving up your engagement or your clicks and conversions on your push notification. The image that you can see on the right, you can see two different users. One user who's wishlisted sofa, and the other user who's wishlisted lamps. So you can see the difference that we have in messaging here, and not just messaging, but also the image that both of these users end up receiving. This is what segmentation can help you do. The second best practice is to choose your message strategy wisely. You need to choose basis the message type that you have in mind. If you want it to be a one-time campaign, if you want it to be a triggered, recurring, or a transactional campaign, so that you're making sure that you're delivering the right message to the right audience. Third best practice that you need to keep in mind is that you need to enhance your push notification appearance. This could be through rich media, for example, images, videos, PDFs, or you can also add, like we just discussed, background colors. You can change the text color, you can make the text bold, and you can a bunch of other things that you can sort of experiment with. For Android, you can also make your push notifications into sticky push, but I would recommend using this feature very carefully, because and using it for messages that are highly important and you do not want your user to miss out on. For example, if there was a gate change for a flight, then you would want to communicate that. Or if there was a last minute cancellation on a hotel booking, then you would definitely want your user to not miss out on that and get that communication. So, towards the image that's shown on the right, you can see the stark difference between the image on top versus the image on bottom, which will help you understand the importance of enhancing your push notification, not just with putting rich media into your notifications, but also making sure that your text, you're highlighting what needs to be highlighted in your text, and you're also, giving them CTA. The fourth best practice is that you need to make the most of your lowest hanging fruits. Now, these are users who've left breadcrumbs of information on your website in the form of cart abandonment, product wish listed. So, these are the little breadcrumbs that you definitely do not want to be missing out on, and would definitely and should definitely be capitalizing on these. It's a great way for you to send a nudge, because you know that the user intent is available for this particular event or action. And once you do that, once you already know that there's intent or on intent of purchase on user's part, and you send them that final nudge, you end up uplifting your conversions. The next best practice that you need to follow is personalization. I know we've covered personalization in depth as a separate webinar topic, but I cannot stress the importance of personalization enough. It's important for you to make sure that you're communicating with your users not just at a segmented level, but also at a one to one level. I could have a segment of users who were interested in shoes, but it'd be great to show them what kind of shoes did they purchase last. Was it red shoes or was it sports shoes? So it's important to get into the details and make sure that you're communicating the right information with your users. Another best practice that you need to follow is you need to leverage this for your cross channel support. Now you can include push notifications into your relays or your journey designers and make your entire marketing strategy more omni channel, and you can then focus on various different aspects by including push notifications into your relays or your journey designer campaigns. Another best practice that you definitely need to follow is you need to remember when you're sending these communications to your users, because like we've already discussed, you do not want to interrupt your users, you do not want them to have a bad experience on your platform or when they receive a communication from your platform. So you definitely want to set up frequency capping, which is, let's say for your brand, if you've done some analysis and you've come up to the point that okay, no more than 3 notifications per user per day, so you set that limit and you make sure that you don't exceed this limit or don't over message your user and drive them to a negative action such as uninstall. You would also want to set up DND at this point to avoid sending communications, untimely communications. What you can also do is when you're selecting when to send, you have an option to choose from the time zone that you are operating in versus the user's time zone. So I highly recommend you also go ahead and do that. If you have users all across, you can set up the push notification to go according to user's time zone as well. What you can also what it also helps you is, like we've already said, it helps you avoid interruptions or avoid untimely interruptions. And at the end of the day, it's all about giving your consumers the best experience possible. Another best practice that you need to follow is you need to be continuously testing and optimizing your push notification campaigns to understand what the user sentiment or the general trend has been like in terms of when do you get the most opens, what day or what time of the day is when your users are more active and are more responsive to your push notifications. So it's always helpful to get this trend, get understand this information so that you can optimize your push notification campaigns accordingly. And you can also set up various formats for or variations to your campaigns. What we did there in the live demo was just create one version of the campaign. You can create multiple versions of the same campaign and do an A/B test. What you also see towards the image on the right is once you've set up two different variations of the campaign, you can assign the variation distribution. You can also assign the time that you want your A/B test to run. How do you want to select the winning variation? Do you want it to be automatically, or you want it to be manual? The winning criteria and the distribution, which by default goes to 50-50 if you've selected two variations, but you can always customize that. Another best practice that you need to follow is that you need to also ensure for Chinese Android devices such as Xiaomi, Lenovo, and so on, that your push notifications are getting impressions. So what we've done for that is that our amplification engine helps you boost your impressions with such devices so that you can ensure that your notifications are actually ending up getting seen by the user. So this just gives you that additional edge that you need in terms of making sure that you're covering all your bases and making sure that your notification or your communication is reaching to maximum users possible. Right. So all these best practices, all the what, why, and how, it all comes down to the performance. And it's extremely important for you to understand how your campaigns have performed. Also, get an overview of what the general trend of your campaign performance has been like. I'll quickly switch over to the live demo and show you what the analysis part of it looks like, or what the performance part you can view. But at a glance, here is what you can simply track. You can understand the reachability, You can understand the new and engaged users. You can track clicks, conversions, revenue. You can also look at uninstall and engagement trends. So I'll quickly switch to the live demo again. I'll come out of the campaign that we were setting up. So when you are at the list of campaigns page, you can just go ahead and see multiple stats such as delivered, unique clicks, conversions, revenue, and tags. So you can get some level of individual campaign data here. What you can also do is you can go to overview and get a holistic picture of what's happening with your push notification campaigns. Like I said, tags are very, very important and they help you understand how your overall campaigns are performing with respect to the tags that you've created. So, on an overall view, you can see how your tags are performing in terms of number of delivered or impressions that you had on your push notification campaigns, campaign sent, conversions, and revenue. What you can also do if you scroll down a little bit is you can understand you can select from a type of campaign. Let's say uh, I only want to look at recurring campaigns, or you just want to look at all of these. So you can select either whatever data you want to look for, and you can also split this by channel type or tags. We'll give this a moment to load and understand what else you have information to. You can look at what your delivery failures have been like. You can look at the number of push notifications before uninstall, so you can understand what is it that tipped your user where to a point where they uninstalled your app. You can also look at days from first push notification to uninstall to understand what the general sentiment or trend has been like. So for the data that's shown here, the highest uninstall happened in the first 13 days. So it's always good to look at how your push notifications are creating an impact on your uninstalls. Coming back, you can look at the type, you can configure from the type, you can look at for a specific tag, you can split this by channel type or tags, and you can look at the overall data for delivered, clicks, conversions, and revenue. What you can also do is understand the engagement trends in terms of conversions and clicks for day and time. So this shows you that for Tuesday 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. you did get one conversion. So it's always easy to understand what time or what date is preferred by the user to engage with your push notifications, and you can then go ahead and send campaigns around the specific times that you're getting most engagement. What you can also see at the top is you can see the reachability that you have, the new users that you have for push notifications, the users who you were able to engage, and the revenue card. Now, you also have the option of changing the timeline from here. What it does, it'll impact all the data below and will figure it according to the timeline that you've selected. You can also schedule these reports. For example, if you want this to come at you on a weekly basis, or for you to be able to see the data, you can do that from here. And this is an overview of the analytics that you have access to. Again, going into the campaigns, I would very quickly want to cover one last thing, which is when you're setting up your messages, you can set up the variations from here. So I set up variation A here. What you can do is just click on plus here and create a new variation or copy from variation A. So for example, you want to change or tweak your messaging a bit, you can go ahead and copy the exact same thing and make changes wherever needed to your message. Once you click on save and continue, you reach the conversion tracking. Now, this is where I spoke about the variation distribution and how you can change that. So you can change, let's say I want it to be a 70-30 split, And if you want the winning variation to be sent automatically, you can select that as well. So a bunch of options when it comes for you to be able to optimize and test your campaigns also exists on the WebEngage dashboard. Now, coming back to the presentation, the last thing that I want to say towards the end would be that the goal is to make your push notification campaigns a win-win situation for for you, the brand, as well as your end users. A quick recap of the do's and don'ts that you need to be following for push notifications. Make sure that you're segmenting your audience. Make sure that you're personalizing your messages and you're including rich media or making that notification enhanced in terms of its appearance, and do add a CTA. Make sure that you're not communicating too frequently with your users, because this will push them over the edge and will lead to uninstalls. And make sure you're not overlooking key user actions such as abandoned cart or purchase made or product wishlisted, because like I said before, these are breadcrumbs that users are leaving on your platform, and you should not be missing out on capitalizing on these. Perfect. With this, we've come to the end of the presentation. And at this point, I would like to take questions if you have any. Right. So if there are any questions at this point, please do put them in your comments, in your comment box, and we will be taking up the questions. However, if there aren't much or many questions at this point, we can simply go ahead and end this broadcast here. From where can we get the latest WebEngage SDK? Okay, so I have alongside me Rahul from the product team, who can help you answer this question, Nisha. So allow me to quickly add him here.
Hey, hi, Tanya. Um, so we have our documentation link. If Tanya, you can share the developer docs link over here, that would be great. So from the documentation link, we have all the steps mentioned, how you can get the latest WebEngage SDK, how you can update it, and the different type of WebEngage SDKs that we have. So yeah, you can just refer to our developer docs.
Perfect. And I have put this in the comments down below, Nisha, so you can use that link to access the developer docs. Right. So if there are any more questions at this point, we can go ahead and answer those. If not, we can take them up later, or you can reach out to your CSMs or any one of us from the support or the product team, and we'll be happy to answer your queries. Thank you everyone for joining in today, and have a good day. Bye.
Okay.